Hi, I like the first book. It will come back. Without further ado, let's continue. When Mitten died, when Mittens died, Lindsay couldn't stand the thought of doing her morning bike routine without her beloved cat Star to watch her and keep her company. She acknowledged she would not be able to compete at the same level if she only biked outdoors, as she was able to do so much less regularly. She also recognized how important competing in triathlons and the fitness her preparation gave her was for overall physical and mental health. But despite knowing this, she simply could not bring herself to get back on the stationary bike. When Lindsay did not realize what Lindsay did not realize was that by cutting off her indoor bike training and thus limiting her ability to compete, she was at risk of losing far more than just her fitness. Being a triathlete had become an important aspect of Lindsay's self definition, and her fellow competitors represented a significant portion of her social circle. By giving up such meaningful aspects of her life, she was not only compounding her grief about Mittens, she was seriously jeopardizing her mental health. Although it might seem necessary or prudent to avoid that which evokes painful associations of our loss, doing so is rarely wise. A general rule of human psychology is that avoiding things does not lessen their emotional impact on us, it supersizes it. By avoiding her basement, Lindsay wasn't lessening the association between her stationary bike and Mittens, she was making it stronger. I worried that if she continued to avoid her bike, the association between with Mittens might spread and contaminate other aspects of her triathlon training. Indeed, this kind of post heartbreak avoidance often starts small and then spreads, forcing us to continually narrow our spheres of operation as a result, sometimes in impractical and even ludicrous ways. For example, Kathy refused to go to any restaurant she had been to with Rich, as doing so would be too painful a reminder of the breakup. But given how frequently they dined out during that 6-month relationship, Katie's list of prohibited establishments covered a huge swath of Manhattan real estate. She would have been finding ways to diminish Rich's presence in her daily thoughts. Instead, her avoidance was making it virtually impossible to escape his shadow. When places and people become too tightly associated with our broken heart, we need to cleanse our associations and reclaim them. The best way to do so is by revisiting these places under different and specific circumstances so we can create new associations for them. For example, I suggested to Kathy that she reclaimed the brunch place she used to go to with Rich by turning it into the brunch place she now goes to with her friends. I warned her that her first or second outing to that would still be haunted by memories of Rich. But by the third or fourth visits, the new associations would start to become strong enough to compete with the old ones. When trying to replace old and painful associations with new ones, we have to be careful about one thing. We must avoid reinforcing the old associations. Consequently, I advised KB to avoid mentioning Rich when at the branch place, and as much as possible to avoid even thinking about him. The next section. Holding on to reminders can keep us holding on to pain. Rigidly avoiding reminders of our loss can lead us to forego important aspects of our lives, but holding on to them too tightly can be just as problematic. Roughly 4 months after Ben's dog, Bovo, died, he called me prior to our session to let me know he had been delayed by a last minute conference call with his boss and he would not be able to get to my office in time. He asked if we could do the session via video call. I agreed. Ben's computer was situated in the corner of his living room. Consequently, I had a clear view of his living room and the adjacent open kitchen. Ben began catching me up on his latest clash with his boss, but I barely heard a word. I was totally distracted by what I saw behind him. There, at the foot of Ben's small dining table, were Boas, food, and water bowls. Sorry, I have to charge my laptop. I waited for an opening and asked Ben about it. He sheepishly tilted his laptop down to show me that Bova's large flat cushion was still at the foot of his workstation. He also admitted that Bova's brush and comb remained in the kitchen drawer with his other grooming tools, and that his leash still hung on the coat rack by the front door. Ben was no stranger to grief. He had experienced significant loss twice between before when his parents died. I had worked with him at the time and knew he was well aware that holding on too many vivid reminders could make those losses feel perpetually fresh and painful. By living with bogus things all around him, Ben was preventing the psychological scabs time creates from forming over his emotional wound. That said, I did understand why he was doing it. When we lose someone, we often hold on to their clothes and the objects we associate with them because removing them feels disloyal. Similarly, when a beloved pet dies, putting away their toys and grooming instruments, disposing of remaining food, and removing their crates, cages, or pillows can feel like an impossible task. The mere thought of doing so can evoke powerful feelings of guilt. We feel like we are betraying an animal that had been unconditionally loyal to us throughout their lives. It can even feel as though we're disrespecting their memory. Ben felt all those things. He rationalized holding on to those reminders by telling himself he would put Bava's things away when he felt ready to do so. A part of him knew that having Bava's things around him was actually preventing him from feeling ready. But with each passing day, the thought of disposing of Bava's possessions felt more and more impossible. A similar drama often plays out when our heart is broken by romantic love. Some of us cling to every reminder we have, surrounding ourselves with the evidence of what we once had but lost. And some of us prefer to dispose of all reminders as quickly as possible to erase every trace of the person who broke our hearts and of our time with them. Although these are entirely opposite approaches, one is not necessarily better or healthier than the other, at least not initially. Whether we choose to eliminate reminders or hold them in the immediate aftermath of a breakup or loss reflects our first reactions, our emotional reflex. The question is, what do past that moment? What we do past that moment? Reminders of psychological representations of our emotional attachments to the pets we lost or the person who broke our heart. As we process our loss and move through our grief, these attachments should weaken with time. Disposing of reminders reflects our willingness to let go and our readiness to move on. If months later we are still keeping too many of them, it can be a sign we have become stuck. Getting rid of these reminders will certainly feel torturous in the moment, but this is one of those times we need to pay a short term price for a long term gain. The vast majority of people I've worked with reports feeling a significant reduction in emotional pain and a big improvement in mood in the days following a reminder purge. How many reminders we choose to keep, if any, depends on whether we can do so while still letting go and moving forward. Those who prefer to eliminate all reminders early on face a different complication. While it is easy enough to locate physical reminders in our home, car, or office, Virtual reminders typically exist in multiple locations between our social media accounts, digital photos, blogs, texts, emails, dating sites, and other warehouses of digital information. Finding and purging them can be tricky tasks indeed. I recently worked with Svetlana, a nurse in her 30s. Svetlana met a man on a popular dating app and they went out for several months. Things began to go badly and the relationship deteriorated rapidly, leading to her boyfriend making an abrupt exit. Heartbroken, Svetlana quickly fell into the familiar trap of idolizing her ex and convincing herself he was the one. We spent weeks working on her recognizing his faults and the flaws in the relationship, both of which were numerous, and slowly she regained a more balanced perspective. A couple of months after the breakup, Svetlana felt ready to date again. Since she did not want to run across her ex's profile, she cancelled her membership to the sites she had met him on and joined two newer dating sites instead. The first immediately sent her a list of five potential matches. She swiped left when she saw the first two. That is, she was not interested. The third profile was that of her ex. She cancelled her membership. A week later, the second app sent her that weekly list of great matches. And there again was her ex's smiling face. I knew he was a perfect man for me, Svetlana stopped when she told me about it, and every matchmaking algorithm out there agrees. I know he wasn't perfect, but the universe is telling me he was the one. May I please see one of your profiles? I asked. Why? Swelana asked. Because I'm wondering how you describe the person you were looking for. Swelana brought up her profile and handed me her phone. Sure enough, every descriptor she had listed matched hers perfectly, including height, weight, hair and eye color, profession, and hobbies. I handed her back the phone and said, the universe is only telling you what you told it. It's not the algorithms. The algorithms. It's you. Svetlana nodded. She had not even realized she was doing it. Indeed, I've worked with numerous people who joined dating sites after getting divorced only to see their ex-wives and ex-husbands show up as suggested matches. Such incidents reflect the consistency of our tastes much more than they do divine intervention. These days, digital reminders of our broken hearts can easily haunt our filing and storage systems. We innocently click on a file and discover a photo album we had forgotten existed. These kinds of unexpected virtual encounters can be both painful and shocking. Some of us might react by quickly clicking delete, but others might be tempted into a painful trip down memory lane that only reactivates hurt feelings and heartache we might have already put behind us. Social media platforms are even more problematic in this regard. The person who broke our heart often remains connected to people we know, making it impossible for their updates and posts to be shared by third parties and show up in our feeds. Another major complication of heartbreak in the digital age is a reaction to the breakup among our friends and followers on social media. A recent study examined how breakups play out on Twitter. One of the phenomena the researchers observed was batch unfollowing. People often lost 15 to 20 followers in the immediate aftermath of a breakup as friends took sides and dropped one member of the couple in favor of the other. A similar phenomenon occurs on Facebook where a breakup can be followed by a large drop in the number of a person's friends. Social media users are often extremely cognizant of their follower members as these statistics represent not just the size of our social circles, but our sphere of influence and our relative importance in the social media world. Such batch losses can easily add hurt and embarrassment to an already painful breakup. If losing followers and friends is important to us, we should take the time to replenish by reaching out to new people and inviting them to follow, friend, or connect with us. Seeing our numbers go back to where they were can, at least slightly, ease our distress. As for losing friends to the breakup, the reality of breakups is such that friends will indeed choose sides, either because our ex expressed an expectation to that effect, or because they think the other person would want them to do so. Therefore, in some cases, it might be possible to reach out to some of the people who unfriended us and let them know we would like to stay connected. Although we risk getting turned down by doing so, we might be pleasantly surprised by the response, especially if the breakup was not acrimonious. Monious. Avoiding the typical mistakes we make when our heart is broken will help prevent us from slipping backwards or getting stuck on our journey to recovery. Breaking these kinds of damaging habits is hugely important, as is the need to adopt healing ones. However, in order to take the final steps toward facing our broken hearts, we must be willing to make one crucial decision: to let go. And that's it. I've read the whole chapter 3. I still cannot let go. Since the 2nd of last month, I've been avoiding the social media that I use to contact him. And I opened a new account. I'm not really sure whether this time it's just like the last time. I don't think the last time I did it entirely because I wanted to avoid the person who gave me the heartbreak. I just wanted to be alone from everyone. But this time, I do it entirely because of that person. I want to go back, but I don't think I can because I still cry. I did cry yesterday, just yesterday, and yesterday was the 13th, more than a month and a week has passed, and I still cry. Well, the real reason why I cried yesterday was that I wanted to get rid of this. Because, okay, initially I didn't want to get rid of it because I searched on the internet and it said I can leave my hair up to 3 months without washing it. And I'm a lazy person, so I thought this is my hairstyle. But he was a person who gave me the idea, who took me to have this hairstyle done. I don't remember the context, but he once said he always gives me the best. This is not the service he took me to was far from the best. So I wanted to fix it, but it was too painful to change from this to this. So I cried at the hairdressers and they just had to stop untying the hair. And I am left with only one option. I have to cut it. From here, I don't mind cutting it off. I mind the pain that I was given because of him. So first, he gave me the heartbreak, it's mental pain. And on the same day, on the very same day, he took me to have this hairstyle. The physical pain was also given. It was really painful. And to change from this to this was even more painful than to make this. No one has ever given me both pains. No one. Normally it's just the mental one. But who is he? He's given me both of them. And both of them are super painful. And I don't know why, but his nickname is such a common word. And every time I work out following YouTube videos, his name comes up. Not just once, not just in one video. So, like, according to the book, I'm not avoiding the reminders because I try to work out every day. It's my fitness, it's my physical health. And when you work out, it can improve your mental health too. But it also hurts to hear his name. And we did even work out together. Some videos are the same ones that I recommended him. And he still used it, even when we did not work out together. And now I'm in a vicious cycle of crying and waiting 2 days just to find out that I cry again and I have to start the 2 days again. I feel like I'm not ready to talk to anyone unless I can stop crying. And I think I'm right. Because I exploded on the hairdressers. I did not mean it. But they commented later that what I did was too much, out of limit. I don't want to do that to anyone. I don't want to do that to the first person I intend to talk to, my psychotherapist. I don't want to explode on him. But I don't know when I'll be ready to talk to anyone. And it also mentioned dating apps. I still use the dating app that I met him. I know the app would not suggest him again because we have already matched. It does not hurt as much as when I hear his name, as much as when I work out. Now I live on the 21st floor, and according to my research that I have researched about suicide methods, I'm on this safe height to jump and die. The minimum is the 17th floor, and 4 floors higher than the minimum. But I've also heard about someone seeing a ghost jumping from the roof again and again. It's like you keep on suiciding even when you are already a ghost. Honestly, I don't believe in ghosts. But what you believe is not necessarily what it is. And I don't want to cause distress to anyone. So I still stick to the gods that I have bought, but I just cannot bring it here. It's too heavy. And at first, I thought I wouldn't talk to anyone before his suicide, but I've changed my mind. The people who love me, if I tell them, if I talk to them before I go, they might still be in pain when I go, but it will be less painful when you have all the questions answered. I know that so well because I've been ghosted at least once. That's why it was so hard for the first heartbreak to recover because I did not know. I asked, but no answers given. And this one, I don't know whether I have questions. I just want to let go. When it gets over. Want to be free. Want to have my heart back. Want to have my life back. My freedom. Because the social media platform that I used to talk to him is the same platform that I used to talk to my friends. And I have to cut all of them too when I'm avoiding him. I feel so weak. I know I shouldn't. According to this book, I shouldn't avoid the social media because it's not just him. So first, I shouldn't avoid him in the first place. But I can't control myself. Like I said, I exploded all the hairdressers. And one of them commented that all her life that she's been a hairdresser, a loctician, like the specific hairdresser for this type of hairstyle. Like she experienced the worst with me. It just reassured me that I made the right decision to keep myself from everyone. That I think I protect them from me. I caged myself in order to protect them and actually myself too. I would say I protect myself from all the possible sources of pain. This period of getting better really sucks. It sucks so much. Oh, but I have a good news. I can let go of the dog at his house. I think I always almost always come up with like, solutions to things when I take a shower. And this time, I also come up with a good solution to let go of the dog. So at first, I thought I shouldn't leave the dog, that he wants me. But I just think of what really happens, like his nature and what happens from that and the effects on the dog. So he brings ghosts to his house, and the dog is so friendly. He doesn't fear humans, he doesn't fear strangers. And I think everyone can find him cute. And if you find something cute, you find a dog cute, you would pet them. So the dog would be pet by someone else. He doesn't need me. Just like the person, he doesn't need me too. Because the reason why I am devastated right now is because he has more than me. He doesn't need me. He can have anyone. So they are just alike. They don't need me. They are cute. They can make themselves cute. And everyone would want them. I'm not needed. So so I have choices. I can go back to talk to him, or I can just let him go forever. Forever. I've never ever ghosted anyone before. But what I've been doing since the second last month seems to be so. Just seems to be. He owed me money. I thought he would transfer me even when he cannot contact me because he already has the details that he did not. And I don't think he forgot that he has already has the details because he has such a good memory. So I don't think the reason why he tries to contact me is because he wants the details. Because he already has it. But I don't know why he did not transfer it last month. I don't really know. I thought if I have my heart back, I can have anything back. And then I thought I can let it all go. I just want to be free. I feel so tired. I wonder why it has to hurt this much. A heartbreak. Just someone doesn't love you. The person you love has someone else. Why it hurts so much to be cheated? And he did not even intend to have only me in the first place. But it feels so unfair. I only wanted him. That is not vice versa. Not at all. And why should it feel so bad to be ignored when you're hurt? Like, they don't take into account at all your pain. They don't care how painful you feel. Maybe it's because you want them to care. Because you might not expect strangers to care about you that much, right? But two, strangers will not sigh when you're talking about the pain you're going through. But for some reason, the cause of my pain, did sigh at me. He did sigh at me when I was in pain. Such a person. And he did say he loved me like a sister. After that, after that, how could you do that to someone you love? Or maybe you love yourself the most? I don't know. And I shouldn't care. I only want the happy me back. I want my freedom back. And I think this is the last time you see me this with this hairstyle because I'll have a haircut next week or this week because today is Sunday and I plan to have a haircut on Saturday. Well, and I've realized just now that I haven't contacted the hair salon. You know, is still COVID. And I think I have to make an appointment before I can go there. And I will just have a haircut. I want to change my hair color too, so it will be quite some time that I have to spend at the hair salon. And I want to make sure that they can make the hair color that I want. So I have to check before I go. And it's getting dark today. So I should read some reviews about the salon I intend to go to. And if the reviews are good, I should make an appointment with them. Maybe I can still do it today. Yeah. And I really hope that this is the last heartbreak in my life. So I hope not to see you again reading books because I have a heartbreak and I feel like I cannot just read alone. But I think the books I read are educational. I even said the tag to be education. Well, at least they are really educational for me. The first book is about the gods, the second book is about mental health. And I know I do say that. Have I? I think I have mentioned it. Nietzsche, Hoffnung. Sie ist in Wahrheit das oberste Übel, weil sie die Rolle der Menschen verlängert. In English, oh, that was in German. And in English, hope in reality is the worst evil of all evils because it prolongs the torments of man. But I still hope I wouldn't love anyone ever again. I don't want to get hurt anymore. Going through a heartbreak fucking sucks. And actually, this video might not be watched at all. So, whatever I say, I should take into account that I am the only person who will hear it. And I should say something to myself before I go. May your death be swift.